And the line, and I can't wait to give this direction to an actor. Yeah, excellent. Next time, try it with a dash of none of what you just did.
This is Kirk Thornton, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome.
Hey, everybody.
And welcome to the Kirk Thornton panel. This is the panel where you get to go pretty much one-on-one with Kirk. We have a Q&A session. We also have some trivia where you can win some fun Digimon prizes. We've got little prizes for you.
Nice.
I've got Shadow. God, I just did that. Shadow the Hedgehog, and I was making.
I'm in Sonic.
I was teasing the guy that said Sonic at the booth. I loved you at Shadow, and I just did it. So. All right, so we'll start this off. They usually ask me to start things off with like a couple questions, so I'll get everything going, and then we'll have you guys line up for some Q&A, and then once we're done with that, we've got, a good 10 trivia questions for you guys to see if you can get correct for some fabulous prizes. So one of the first questions that people always want to ask, they do this all the time with a lot of voice actors, is how did you exactly get your start into voice acting?
It's a long story, so we're not going to get into it. No, I got my start as a theater actor, and I've known from the time the parents pulled out the home camera and I leapt in front of it. Everybody said, "Oh, he's going to be an actor," and so it's all I've ever wanted to be. Well, besides a baseball player and a fireman for short amounts of time. So I went, through grade school, through high school, whenever there was a school play, I was in it. Into college, I knew I majored in theater. And finally, but, there's so many people who want to be actors that you got to get thinned out. So, I auditioned for an acting school that they audition like 500 actors and 15 are accepted. And those 15 actors go for 3 years with each other through conservatory, just doing nothing but acting from 9 in the morning till 11 at night, studying all aspects. And in my program, if you didn't meet certain standards, you were kicked out. And so I think we started out with 15. I think 9 graduated. So from there, I went down to, I auditioned for a theater and I worked at Oregon Shakespeare. Then I went to New York for a number of years to pursue theater and met my wife. And we moved to LA to do film and TV. And then I did what most voiceover actors do, go to the dry cleaners. And as I was coming out of the dry cleaners, I ran into a friend who I had done theater with, and he asked me if I wanted to do voiceover. It's not anything I had ever conceived of doing in my life. I didn't think, oh, I want to be a VO actor. So I just stumbled into it. It was years and years of work followed by a moment of luck. And then as it turned out, it was something that I was well suited for. My style of acting and just my combination of technique and artistry. It sounds a little conceited maybe, but there's an amount of artistry that's involved along with technique, which voiceover, especially dubbing anime, requires. It requires a real blend. So, I told you it was a long story. That's how it happened.
So one of the things that you're credited in your bio, at least like some of the bios that I received, is that you played the holy trinity of Batman, Superman, and Jesus.
Yeah.
And I know probably a lot of people are like, Jesus, how did that come to terms?
Yeah, there's not a lot of opportunities to play Jesus, especially in anime. I've done a number they use a lot of anime actors for live action dubs as well. And Mel Gibson's The Passion of Christ, which was originally done in Arabic. And Mel Gibson did not want it dubbed. He was very staunch against it. But it happened. And so when they dubbed it, the studio that was doing it knew my work, and I'd worked with them a whole bunch. I didn't even have to audition for Jesus. They just thought I was so much like him, I guess, that they cast me. And it was, I don't know if you've ever seen The Passion of Christ, but they go very, very graphic into when he was crucified. And so I went through the dislocation of the shoulders and the spikes through the hands and all that as Jesus. That's the part I remember the most.
Okay. Probably one more question for you.
Yeah.
So with the pandemic, we were seeing a lot of the voice actors doing work at home, building their own studios. Now that we're over with that, we're getting back into the studio. Are people still doing remote, or is everybody going back to the studios now? How is that landscape looking?
Yes. No, they're doing both. I have several actors who, the ones who are established enough, Steve Bloom, Roger Craig Smith. Steve moved to Hawaii, and he's continuing to work from Hawaii. Roger Craig Smith, who loves Idaho, he moved to Idaho. And they've put together very professional studios in their houses. It's an interesting thing, the pandemic, because a lot of people bought studios for their home. You can buy these prefab studios, either studio bricks or ISO booth or whatever. And they're good, but you're spending anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 on a home studio, and you're expecting it to sound as good as a professional studio that spends $100,000. It's not the same. We're getting mostly back to in-studio. I still do some jobs from my home studio, but I far prefer going into a professional studio and having, the engineer right there, the director who I can make eye contact with, even though it's funny, they're trying to get the actors back into the studio, but a lot of the directors are directing remotely right now, and I'm not a fan of that. When I direct as well, and I directed Final Fantasy Remake and Rebirth, and we were in studio the entire time. We were in studio through COVID, because we met there were Screen Actors Guild came up with certain criteria that you had to meet in order to remain in the studio, and we did it. And I'm a big fan of the studio. I like making eye contact with my actors. I like having my engineer right there so I can talk to him, the client right there so I can talk to him. There's times that I don't necessarily want the actor to hear what I'm saying, and I can communicate with both of those people and get on the same page, and then give the actor the direction. I find it works best.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lag of someone doing a take. There's a lag of at home where then the director would get the take, hear the take, and then have to mail them, mail or IM back, I would assume, instead of you doing the take and then the director's like, can we get that just a little bit lower? Like that kind of feedback from the director is immediate in the studio, but I'm sure there's a lag when it's remotely, right?
It's not that bad. No, it's not that much, but it's just if the director's not there, he can't. he can't have an aside with his engineer and say, hey, can you take 2 frames out of that between these 2 words? I need to tighten that up just a little bit. Because the actor will go, oh, no, I can do that. And it's like, nah, I got the take I wanted. I just want to massage it a little bit. You know, your performance was great. Just, you know, let me do my thing with my engineer for a little bit. And we're going to sweeten that line so it looks a little better, it sounds a little better, it fits a little better. Yeah, it's not a big deal, but you know, and as an actor, I'm very physical. I'm constantly moving. I bang into the mic all the time, but my feet are moving, my hands are moving, and even as a director, you know, I'm using my hands. So I'm not Italian, but I'm talking with the actor and I'm expressing myself physically as well as vocally to try to get the performance out of them. You know, sometimes say, I want you to, you know, really, you know, gut it up here, or you know, I want you to really, you know, tighten up and you know, give me all your energy on this one. And they can, I never try to, I had a director once who was like, okay. And they were acting it out and it just really pissed me off. They're like, this is a really intense scene. I mean, it's really intense and I want you very intense. And I'm like, dude, all you got to do is tell me it's an intense scene and I want you intense. I don't need you to perform it for me. That's kind of why I'm here. I'm here to perform it. If you want to perform it, get your ass in here in the booth and you do the damn role. But still, there's cues that they take off me visually. Of course, it's a double-edged knife. I don't play poker. I am not a good poker player. So sometimes when they give me a take that I don't like, I'm not real good at hiding it. and you hate to show that to the actor, you know.
You get that awkward pause and they're like,
yeah,
is everything okay? Was that good?
Yeah, that was great. Let's try it. Oh God, there's a line, and I can't wait to give it to an actor. There was a line in Only Murders in the Building, and let me find it. I'll give it to you because it's so good. Oh yeah. And the line, and I can't wait to give this direction to an actor. Yeah, excellent. Next time, try it with a dash of none of what you just did.
All right, I got one more question for you, and I'll open this up to open mic Q&A now. So throughout my career doing conventions, I've been doing conventions for about 20 years. Don't do the math. I've spoken with many voice actors, many directors, because, you know, when you're part of the fandom, you do like, I'd like to try that, you know, and I've talked to actors, directors, and such, and one of the main things they always told me was, you gotta live where the work is. You gotta live in New York, LA, Texas. You know, there was one in North Carolina, Wilmington at one point. And since we were in the pandemic, a lot of people doing remotely. Mm-hmm. Does a new person coming in, or are there options open for them now that people are still doing it remotely, or do we still need to live where the work is?
No, absolutely. It has really changed. You can, you can dip your toe in. You can get started remotely. So you can get some work. I just finished directing. I was secondary director on this project. Bob Buchholz was the primary, and they almost the entire project was done. It was non-union, so they didn't want any union actors. A lot of non-union projects will hire union actors, but they wanted none, and so almost every session was remote. So a lot of actors got an opportunity to work on a game, and they recorded remotely. So there are opportunities. However, you know, if you really want to make a living at it, if at some point or other, you're going to have to go to one of the hubs. You're going to have to go to Texas or LA or New York. Those are the majors that I know of where you can make a living.
And I've seen some of the actors, actresses moving from Texas to L.A. They moved to L.A. for the more work, the meat.
Yeah. The biggie stuff is happening in L.A. Well, and that's where the money is. The work in Texas pays, but you got to work a lot more hours to make a little bit of money. LA, you can do a job and you can make a good chunk in an hour.
Fantastic. Well, you know what that means, guys. Time to work on that demo reel.
Yeah.
All right. We are now opening up the floor to you guys. We have a microphone over here to the side. If you guys would like to line up, Kirk's now gonna take all of your questions, all of your answers. All right. And once we're done with that, time permitting, we'll do some trivia in just a little bit too.
Yeah. I'll try to talk less. Jesus.
Great. I'm going to try to word this in the best way I can. So it's kind of a two-part question real quick. How was the process of you getting cast for Igor from Persona? And what is it like trying to do a voice for a character that's already had an established voice actor?
Well, it's interesting. I'm not a gamer, so I hadn't heard Dan Warren's Igor. And as far as getting cast in Igor, it's kind of how I get cast for probably at least 75% of my work. They just cast me. They just said, yeah, we think Kirk can do this. They brought me in, and I've worked, Persona is Atlas?
Yes, Atlas.
Okay, so I've worked for Atlas for, I don't know how many games I've done for Atlas, but I've done tons of games. And so they just said, oh, yeah, Kirk could do this. So I went in not realizing that it had been voiced before, which is a good way to go in, actually, because, if I was trying to sound like Dan, the character would have been different. They just described the character to me. I can't even remember if they showed me a rendering of him, but they said, he's this kind of guy, he acts this way, and so they said, so I just played with a few voices and we settled on one and went with it. I loved how flamboyant and theatrical he is. They really let me play with him. They let me go, they kind of let the reins out and just let me run with it. But yeah, you work enough and you don't have to audition. It's nice. I didn't audition for Shadow either. They just threw it at me. Hard work and luck, it's all, it's a lottery. Every once in a while you stumble into something. Other times, you bust your ass on an audition and you get it and it's great. The role in Starfield I did, I auditioned and I had a ball with that. That was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Persona 3 Reload was really interesting when they, announced it because they did a complete recast.
Yeah.
So all of those, esteemed, veteran voice actors, they just went a different direction with it this time. They just went with a complete new cast.
Well, and that's an interesting thing. And some actors get very attached to roles that they've done, and they think, and they get upset when they're not used again. But coming from the theater, it's normal for me because, yes, the fact that Marlon Brando did Streetcar Named Desire, does that mean that nobody else can play Stanley Kowalski in Streetcar Named Desire? No, they do productions all over the place. So there's all different takes. So it seems normal to me. So I don't get too attached. I did Gabumon. They've done a reboot of the series, and Dave Mitchell is now Gabumon. I'm like, go, dude, that's great. I had a nice run with him. I had my fun with the character. So I don't hold it against any production companies who decide to recast. Obviously, because I got Shadow. I'm like, I don't know how many Shadows there were before me, but, so it's just part of the business.
You got a question?
I was at the voice actor panel yesterday. And
Oh, get a little bit closer to the mic.
Tighten up on that mic.
I was at the voice actor panel yesterday, and I noticed that it took you a few seconds to get into the shadow voice.
Now I'm losing you again. Get up on that
Sorry.
thing.
Yeah.
Just eat that microphone.
Romance the mic.
I was at the voice actor panel yesterday, and I noticed it took you a few seconds to get into the shadow voice. Have you ever been in the booth struggling to get into a voice?
Have I done anything in order to, do I use any tricks to get into a voice? Is that what you're asking?
Have you ever struggled a lot to get into a certain voice in the booth?
Do you struggle to get into a certain voice?
Yeah, I've only had that a couple of times. It surprised me. I'd be directing somebody and they're coming back to redo the voice of a character in new episodes, and they'll have trouble finding it. I haven't had that trouble too much. They usually play you a reference. They usually have got a sample. If they don't, it can be trouble because we do so many different voices that they all kind of get mixed up. So it's very important that they have a vocal reference there. Like I did a redo of a Gabumon recently. They were redoing one of the movies, and they said I kept acting, and I thought Gabumon was down here. I thought he was right here, and they said I thought he was up here. I thought Gabumon was here, and they kept saying no, he's pitched deeper. I'm like, really? I did the role, and then they'd play something. I went, oh, yeah, I guess he's down here. He's not quite up. He's not up here. He's down there. So yeah. That's where the director comes in handy, and I always get there. Sometimes before I'll go into a session, I'll pull up a YouTube, and I would pull up some shadow and make the mistake of reading the comments afterwards. But
oh no! I thought that was rule number one.
No,
Don't read the comments.
I did it once. I didn't know any better. Yeah.
Oh no. And I was working on the scripts for that voice actor panel with my director Maddie, and we worked on these things and we ran out of time. So just a little backstory note. We gave the actors yesterday, before the panel, we gave them their scripts, so they didn't know which voice they were using or what. The only thing they knew was the things that they wanted to do. We gave them like a questionnaire pre-convention. So, we kind of sprung it on them at the last minute because we had run out of time getting everything together and, sending it over for approval. So everything you saw yesterday was totally on the fly, and it was amazing.
But if you had a really sharp ear, you might have noticed that we might have been off a little bit. A director might have caught us and said, yeah, you're doing a little too much of this, a little too much of that. Bring him up, bring him down, give a little more texture, a little less texture. Anyway.
Thank you. Also, I realized I made this shirt specifically for Seeing You, and I didn't know that you would have a matching shirt. It's Sonic Adventure 2 Shadow.
Oh, is that the inverse?
It's black on red, and that's red on black.
Yeah.
Shadow.
But we've got it's the exact
Same design?
No, this is Sonic Adventure 2
lights are hella
full
bright.
body,
Okay.
but still.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Thank you for your question.
Yeah.
I'm certain you get this a lot. What character did you have the most fun voicing?
The most fun? Oh, that would have to be Don Patch. Just because, yeah, I mean, a number of times when you're working, especially, Bleach is a good example where they wanted everything really tight to the translation and really tight to the original performance. And so you're more constrained. You're kind of working in very narrow, in a very narrow parameter. Whereas with Bobobo, they looked at the translation and went, yeah, fuck. Let's throw that out the window. What are they doing on the screen? Let's write some jokes to that. And if we didn't like the jokes that they had written, we in the studio we rewrote them on the fly and just improvised and messed around and Michael Sorich was the director, and he's got an incredible sense of comedy, and so we just played with each other the entire time. Yeah.
Did something that got thrown out, like maybe it was a Japanese, joke or pun? Did they just let's just throw in something localized here. Let's throw in a local joke or something.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. And it's an example of one of the first things I adapted when I started adapting scripts was there was a line, and they made a joke about a guy he was dressing up as a woman, and they made, or was it a woman dressing up about him? It was one or the other, either a woman dressing up as a man or a man dressing up as a woman. And they made a joke about his thin waist. And I went, well, okay, that's tits and ass are what are funny in America. So I adapted it to, I did either a tits or ass joke. And they said, oh, no, it's the waist. And I go, well, okay, it's my first job. I will go with what you want. But, so you like to be able to, if you're dubbing it into English, my feeling is you might want to, Americanize it where you can. Make it more for the American audience. We definitely did that with Final Fantasy. The adaptation was, my adapters were superb. They were the most incredible adapters I've ever worked with. So, yeah.
Yeah, and in fact, I met a director once that did not like the term dubbing. He said, it's not dubbing, it is English adaptation.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I would want more of an explanation, but dubbing doesn't bother me.
I can tell you who it was later.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's still around, though. It's been a while. It's been a hot minute.
Was he in L.A. or Texas?
The one in Wilmington.
Wilmington?
Yeah.
Okay.
Coastal Carolina.
Oh, you'll have to tell me.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you for your question.
Yeah. And thank you for answering it.
Sure.
Let's wig it out.
Hi.
Hello.
I have a question regarding your voice of Gene in Samurai Champloo.
Uh-huh.
What were your thoughts on voicing as him?
It was a completely different experience for me because I think I'm probably more known for my broader characters like Don Patch, and a lot of the stuff I did was a little bigger, more theatrical. So when it got to Gene, I would do a line and he'd go, no, flatter, soften him out. And I'm like, I'm not doing anything. And he said, no, flatten that out. I'm not doing anything. And he was so soft, I drove the engineers crazy because, they're turning up the gain and they're going, I'm getting room noise. But the director kept saying, no, that's what I want. And so everything had to be played, all the emotion had to be played and it had to be there, but I couldn't show it vocally. It had to be a very subconscious thing. It had to be there, but I had to be Gene who didn't show emotion. And so it was very difficult for me. But I loved the way it turned out. And I really, after the first few sessions, I got into it and just rolled with it.
Yes, you just got to roll the punches.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a challenging role for you, but still, I enjoyed your voicing as Gene.
Oh.
I love Samurai Champloo.
Oh, so do I. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Is that Mitsuru? No, her.
No, I'm from Code Realize.
What's that? You're from what?
Code Realize.
Oh, okay. Sorry, the lights are so bright up here.
Yeah, we can't see anything. We can barely see you guys.
We
So I
can't
have
see.
2 questions. The first is from my dad, and he wants to know, as a director, have you ever heard like a voice on the street or like you have an idea of what you want a character to sound like, and you're like, this is the actor I want, or that's the guy I want to hire for this character?
You ever been out in the street and heard somebody talk and it's like, I want him, her,
Never.
them?
Never, not once, ever. because I will sometimes look at a character and go, oh, I want that actor. But I've never heard a voice on the street and just thought, oh yeah, I should definitely bring him in, because like David Sobolov said in the panel yesterday, it's all about acting. You know, people can have incredible voices. I hear incredible voices all the time. I hear these beautiful and insane voices, and you know, sometimes they'll come into the booth and I'm just like, oh God, please give me some acting. So yeah, that's that question.
And then my personal question as a diehard Kingdom Hearts fan, do you have more fun playing Saix or his somebody Isa?
I would have to say Saix. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the only time I've ever heard stories about stuff like that would like involve like Quinton Tarantino shopping in a store, and he'd hear a song and he'd be like, I need that song for my movie. Who is it? You know, so that's the only time I've ever heard of someone going around normal life and being like, I must have that.
Yeah.
I've never heard of anyone just grabbing a random off the street saying,
you know,
I need your voice.
Old Hollywood, you know, sometimes actors were discovered on the street, but, you know, and you hear those stories, but no, I never, it's too dangerous. If you've ever been in the studio with, that's when I really earn my pay, is when I get an actor who doesn't get it and I have to carry them through their performance. It's not a lot of fun.
And I'm always making like little jokes. I'd be like, hey man, all right, put me in, come on man, put me in the next Final Fantasy. Or, you know, I was talking to Zeno last year. I was like, oh man, come on, put me in Transformers or something. And I'm usually playing around, and you know what they tell me? Put in an audition. It's just, you know, you got to put the work in.
Yeah.
Tarantino puts the eccentric in eccentric genius.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Anyway, my question is, do you prefer productions where all the actors are recording together or where the actors are recording separately?
Hands down, where they're all together. You know, all of anime is single actor in a studio, but, you know, like when we did Sonic Boom, we were all in the room together, recording together, and a lot of actors are very funny people, and they're very creative. So you put a group of them together and they just start going off on each other. The Twitter takeovers with Sonic we have so much fun, just sitting together with our friends and riffing and playing. It's a lot more fun to work together.
I've heard that. Yeah, I'm an indie animator, and I'm always recording everyone separately because everyone's got like different schedules, and they're always complaining, it'd be great to have everyone together so we could play off each other. I'd be like, yeah, well, you guys never, your schedules never line up. Well,
there's two things. It's economics, it's scheduling. Like especially with anime, you know, if you've got characters in a room, you got, you know, 5 actors in a room, it's going to take a lot longer to get through because some actors are going to be standing around, you know, not doing lines for 10, 15 minutes. So you're wasting money there. Also, you've got to have really, really solid engineers and actors who really know what they're talking about and doing, because you cannot, if there's a joke in it, if there's humor, you know, normally you're picking up on cues, you're jumping right on it. But when you're recording with a group, you cannot do that. You have to take a beat after the last actor says their line so that you don't bleed into the audio track, because if you bleed into their audio track and there was a mistake, that take is burned. And so they
More
will.
challenges with it, but you get better performance.
Yeah, they'll cinch up. Yeah, you get better performance playing off the other actors. But we just have to watch ourselves because our natural instincts are to just be jumping on it and really playing off of each other. So you just have to do that. But there does have to be that little beat in between lines so that you're not burning a take.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's probably a practice they haven't done in a while, right? Putting everybody in the same room.
They're getting back to it.
They are?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I feel like I haven't heard any good group outtakes since the 80s the Thundercat outtakes and stuff.
No, they'll get there.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
All right. So you started to touch on my question just a little bit. So first of all, thank you for all of your voices in Sonic, not just Shadow, but everybody you did in Boom. They're all so funny. I love it. So because you've worked on Boom and also with the games, how different is the production between those two different mediums? It's the same series, sort of, but I imagine it's a very different production process.
It's night and day. Yeah, it's absolutely night and day. When you're in the studio with a group of actors, everybody's just wild and crazy, and when you're in the booth by yourself doing the game, it's just me and the director and the engineer and and a group of clients that every take we do, the director will say, I liked, I'll do an A, B, and a C take. I'll do the line 3 different ways, and the director will say, I like it this way, and the client will say, yeah, that was good, but I liked the B take a little bit better, and director will go, oh yeah, that's fine, that's great. So there's a little bit more input. It's more stop and go. When you're doing something like Sonic Boom, you'll run through an entire scene and then stop, and they'll give notes, and you'll do it again. But with the game, you're just going line by line. So yeah, it's very different.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Hello. What was your thoughts on playing Ascal Ad?
Ascal Ad was wonderful because I loved my director. You hear me say that a lot with directors. They really get no glory at all, but they're so incredibly important. And he knew exactly what he wanted. Was very specific. He guided me there. When lines weren't working, we'd rewrite them, or he would rewrite them 99% of the time. Sometimes I'd throw in some input. But since I didn't know the show, I kind of counted on him to guide me, and he did. And at first I thought, oh, this guy's he is just straight up evil. He's just bad, bad, bad. And as we worked our way through, I saw the humor in him and the fun in him, even though he was still evil, but I started to appreciate it more and have more fun with him. And by the time we got to the final episode, I didn't know what was coming. And he just, got on the button and said, it's the final episode. You're going to like this, Kirk. And I went, oh, yeah. And so he just he allowed it to unfold for me and just trusted my instincts to sometimes an actor's first instincts are the strongest. And he trusted that, just me seeing it and going, oh, this is what I got to do. Okay. And we just had fun and worked our way through it and just loved that. It's nice when you get a character, you don't get it often in anime, a character who starts out in one place and ends someplace different. Like Kisame, he's pretty much Kisame all the way through. He gets some nice playful things in between, but he really doesn't change that much. Jean kind of stays the same all the way through. Most anime characters do, but Ascal Ad, he had an arc. His character started out someplace and ended someplace else.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Guys, we got about 15 minutes left. So I just want to let you guys know, let these two guys be the last questions, okay?
And I'll give shorter answers.
We just don't have the staff to sit there and cap the line, so I just wanted to let everybody know these are the last 2 questions we'll take.
So my question was there ever a point where you felt like you weren't going to make it in this field, or were you just always certain that you would be able to make it? Do you think you would ever fail?
Give me the question one more time, because
Sorry.
yeah, I heard it, but yeah.
Were you always certain that you'd make it in this field, or did you ever consider the possibility of you failing or not making it?
Okay, well,
Think you weren't going to make it in the business?
in this field of voiceover or in acting?
And voiceover.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. I was, all actors have self-doubt, and if they tell you otherwise, they're lying. We all doubt ourselves, and we all wonder, am I going to make it? Am I not? What would I do if I don't do this? There were times when I thought, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get by. I've had to do all kinds of jobs to support myself through the slim times. And there were a lot of slim times, especially as, I've got a wife and a couple of kids to support. So, I was a substitute teacher. I did catering. I managed an apartment building. I was never sure I was going to get there. I knew I was, my desire was always strong, and I knew I would never give up because it's something I love doing. But I'd be lying if I said I never had self-doubt.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, Kirk.
Hi.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah.
I apologize. I am really, really late for this panel, so if this question got asked already, I'm sorry. But I wanted to get your thoughts on the more comical character that you play in the Sonic series, Orbot.
Orbot. Oh. In Sonic Boom, it was almost all Orbot. Well, Orbot and the little ancillary characters. And what made Orbot as fun as he was Cubot, Wally Wingert standing, because they always put me and Wally and I, right next to each other during the sessions, and Wally is astoundingly talented. The voices that come out of him are they're just ridiculous. Plus, his Cubot is hysterical. So I just kind of played the straight man for 99% of the time, and I just would set Wally up, and he'd just knock it out of the park. And they gave me some zingers sometimes for Dr. Eggman, but most of the jokes were for Wally, which was fine by me. Comedy's all about it's a set 'em up and hit the punch. Set it up, hit the punch.
Yeah, kind of a two-way street, right?
Oh, absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with being the straight man.
Oh yeah, I think you did pretty well carrying those entire scenes, like in the Sonic Colors short. I think it was called Rise of the Wisp. Like you were carrying that whole scene by yourself because neither of those characters were talking, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. The writers like Orbot, so Orbot gets a lot of stuff. So I'm thrilled.
All right. Do you have a favorite line as Orbot?
No. Not that I can remember. I'm sure if you gave me a list of lines, I could go, yeah, I like that one. But I just can't remember.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. All right. Who wants to play some trivia? I got 10 questions, but I just realized I have 9 prizes. I'm like, well... All right. I'm trying to figure out how to do this since it's just me in these questions.
Yeah.
I do have a wireless mic.
There you go.
And I do have some prizes over here. Who wants to play some trivia? All right. I think I'm just going to come up here.
Yeah.
If you want to answer the question, raise your hand. Ooh, comfy. All right.
I will help spot for you. I'll spot that first hand that goes up.
Kirk plays a character who has been quoted as saying, "I am the ultimate life form." Right there in the black. Yep, come on up.
It's like Jeopardy. He got you banged on that bell before the end of the question.
I know. I don't know. I just looked up and saw that hand. So yeah, go ahead and pick yourself a Digimon. In what show does Kirk play a beautiful emperor? To be specific, he plays the 4th Emperor of Conan.
Ooh. Oh, you've stumped him.
Wow, this might be the one we skipped since we only have 9 prizes.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. In Persona 3 Reload, this one was my personal favorite. What's the first thing you hear from Igor?
What?
Welcome to
the Velvet Room.
Come on up. See, my weekend is complete now that I've heard you say that. Thanks. Ask Kirk to say a line without asking him to say a line, right, ladies and gentlemen?
Yeah.
In Digimon, Kirk plays Gabumon, one of the cutest reptile Digimon around. But who is Gabumon's human partner?
Gosh.
Who?
I missed.
I saw you go first.
The blue.
What do you think?
I think it was the blue. Yeah.
Matt Ishida is correct. Come on up. In Samurai Champloo, well, you know, she worded this. All right, Samurai Champloo, Kirk says, "I think I found what I was looking for all this time, who was always alone, found comrades for the first time."
What's the...
Samurai Champloo.
Oh, you're looking for the character?
Yes. It is Gene. Come on up.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute, why is no one raising their hands?
I didn't get the question either.
Usually the question kind of gives it away, but you know, we wrote up some like tricky questions. You know, you were thinking the answer was going to be Gabumon, but okay, which character does Kirk play in Bleach? Don, what?
I'm going to give the game show wrong answer.
Which character does... This is a kind of a trick question, guys. Think about it. What character does Kirk play in Bleach? You in the back.
Oh, you got to be louder than that. We're not hearing you.
Zengetsu? Was that the character?
God, I'd have to look it up, but I think I may have done Zangetsu.
Ichigo's sword?
I think I may have done
I'm
not sure.
So we found something online. We have the answer, okay?
I would have to look it up.
But then Kirk said, well, you know, I played more than just this role. I played a couple other roles. So I said, if they say one that is not this role that we're looking for, you know, we'll count it and give you the prize. But the one we were looking for is Kirk plays the narrator in Bleach. It's a little bit of a trick question. All right, we'll put that one on pause. Whose father does Kirk play in Demon Slayer? Right up front. Tanjiro, come on up. See, another trick question. You think Tanjiro, the character that he plays, but no, whose father? Tanjiro. This character that Kirk portrays is the tallest member of the Akatsuki clan. Well, see, we're reviewing yours right now. The person beside you. That's it. Come on up. Your question is in review, but I'm probably just going to. I tell you what, just come on up and grab one. We'll just give it to you. What is Nikolai Bra's special power in Tiger and Bunny? Another character that Kirk portrayed. Tiger and Bunny. Anyone? Anyone? What is the name of the show where Kirk plays Regro Bernadette? Nope. Man, these are too hard. Yeah. Yep, come on up. We got one more prize left. Did anyone know our other two questions? Okay. Do you have any questions on the fly we can give away this last prize to? Nobody will know this. I was hoping, so the one that was the Emperor of Conan, that was Fushigi Yugi.
Oh,
which is Emperor Hotohori.
yeah.
I was hoping we would have a couple Fushigi Yugis out there.
Let's see.
And the Tiger and Bunny, the answer was petrification.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, sorry. We were looking for petrification.
Trying to think of something a little less. Oh, come on. Let's see.
How are we doing on time?
I don't know. How are we doing on time?
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Yeah, 2 minutes. All right. So for those who want, when we end this in just a moment, we do have some Shadow the Hedgehog stickers if you guys would like to come up to the stage and grab one.
Going through stuff.
I've got one. I'm ready.
Go.
All right, hands on your buzzers. Who is this panel about? Right there. Yeah. What? Kirk Thornton. There you go.
Oh.
All right. Thank you guys so much for coming.
This is All for One. You are watching Fandom Spotlight. Continue to do so and follow your fandom, or I will obliterate everything you protected.